Do you ever wonder what is NFT, what is blockchain, what is metaverse? If answer to any of the question is yes, then let's dive into the video. Hi, this is Rajat and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I help you transition from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 and turn you into a Web 3.0 ninja. So if you're enthusiast in blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, metaverse, please subscribe to my channel. Welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to cover what Web 3.0 is all about. Before we go into the detail, right, it's highly important that you understand the difference. What is Web 1.0 is and what is Web 2.0, and only then it's gonna make sense. So I'm gonna just cover a little bit of history. So if you look at Web 1.0, so this is pretty much the era that we were in from 1991 to 2004, right? And at that time, any website that you have seen is pretty much was static in nature. It was not using any kind of dynamic HTML, and that's how the internet web sort of evolved in that era, right? And pretty much you will have desktop application at that stage, right? So then the Web 2.0, which is the current state, by the way, and we are slowly transitioning into Web 3.0. And this is the era of social networks, right? Mobile first, cloud computing, right? So you will see organizations like Facebook, Airbnb, Uber, even Bitcoin covers into that area. But I will go into details like how it's different in Web 3.0. And so pretty much the idea about Web 2.0 was, you have a good idea, right? And what you do basically is create an application using some of these latest technology, right? And you give that application free to users, right? And in return, you take their data. And that's what pretty much Facebook is doing. And that's what Google is doing, right? And once they have this massive data, they monetize by selling advertisements to various organizations that want to reach you, right? So as a consumer, yes, you got the application free from these organizations, but they sold your data. And that's pretty much the business model of any of the Web 2.0 organization you can see on the planet today. Now, this is a massive problem, right? The reason being, as a consumer, right, you help them grow, these organizations grow at a massive scale, but it only benefited those people, right? So people who created, Facebook was created by Mark Zuckerberg and the VC funds who funded it, right? But we all, as consumers, contributed in that journey, right? And only thing that we have got so far is a free application that we can use. But our data is sold without our approval, right? And based on that, they have created a massive organization. This is something been changing in Web 3.0 area, right? Which is all about decentralization, right? We don't want, if you have to redesign the whole internet again, right? One of the biggest requirement is that it should not be owned by a couple of organizations. And that's what's happening, right? Any of the search that you want to do on Google, right? Pretty much Google is the biggest search engine, right? If they don't want to show a result, right, you're not going to know about it, right? Because they're going to showcase only those results for which they are paid, right? And that's pretty much the algorithm that they have, right? If someone is paying an advertisement, that would be on the first or second page of that application, right? So no longer they are serving the actual requirement, which businesses, which a consumer you are asking, but basically serving you what they want to serve. And that's a massive problem in terms of the data compliance, if you look at it in that way, or the data security, and how they can have a full control of that information, and they can tweak it in based on their objectives. And their objective is just one thing, right? Make more and more money on your data. Now Web 3.0 is we had some of the cryptocurrency world in Web 2.0, which was like Bitcoin, but there were a lot of limitation in that era, right? Because it was just used for Bitcoin actually proven crypto economics, right? So that you can transfer money from one location to another without any third party, right? But it has a lot of limitation. It was just designed for transfer of the money. It was not designed to run application like Facebook or Airbnb, right? And that's where the Web 3.0 is coming in. So we have now blockchain technology like Ethereum, Avalanche, Near, and we're going to go into the detail. Now, these technology are like programmable blockchain, which is like you have this wider set of peer-to-peer network where all of your data is residing. So not a single entity is the owner of that whole data. And that data is distributed across peer-to-peer networks. But on top of it, you have this programmable layer, right? And on that programmable layer, you can build a decentralized application. And that's the whole idea of Web 3.0. So the whole table is turned when you move into Web 3.0. You will not find application where the focus is let's give this application free to user, let's consume their data and then sell it to advertiser, right? The whole game is changed in Web 3.0 because all of the data is free. It's on blockchain, it's in public ledger, anybody can read it, right? So there is not a single organization that is mastering that data. So that's one thing, right? Once you have that data, right, the whole monetization policy has to change. And that's where the crypto economics comes into picture. And that's what Bitcoin has given us, right? So on that blockchain now, what's happening? If I want to bring consumers on my application, what I'm gonna do is basically I'm gonna create a crypto economics on top of it. Like take an example, of Stack Overflow, say for an example, or Facebook for an example, right? If I post something, it does not mean anything, right? It's a data point that's Facebook capture, right? But I'm not monetized on that data, right? Facebook get that monetization done in the background, selling it to advertiser, right? In Web 3.0, once you have the data, you have to pay, right? So there is no concept of that application gonna be free. Anything you write, because it's written on the blockchain, right? You have to pay transaction fees. And we'll go into next series, next couple of videos to explain what transaction fees is all about. So wait for that, subscribe to the channel. And when it's out, you will understand that point also. But whenever you are using an application, you have to pay a transaction fee. And that's the whole idea. But as a consumer, if I have to pay, right, the organization that are building these, massive applications, right, they are, giving benefit to the consumer, right? And how they are doing it is by giving you a token. So say for an example, the social network in Web 3.0, how it will look like. I will post a comment, right? And I will be given some crypto token on top of it, which will have a market value, right? And that's the whole idea, right? So that's the crypto economics, right? But the data is free, but the whole monetization is, in favor of the consumer. It's not with the one person who is owning it. And that's why this is like very, very powerful concept. The things like metaverse, things like NFT, right? Where you're selling your art, right? And you are getting monetization on top of it. And that's why you see the NFTs are like selling for insane prices on some of the, marketplaces that are there. And that's the power of Web 3.0. Now, if you're working on Web 2.0, there is a good news for you, right? So the point is that some of the web technologies that you have worked with, like React framework and everything, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right, pretty much can be imported. You don't have to lose that knowledge. But there are a different level of stack that you need to understand. So the first thing that you need to understand is the blockchain. And now there is a scalability issues on it because, it's peer-to-peer. It's not like your cloud environment, which is owned by another organization, right? There is a scaling solution like side two chains. There is a complete set of different development environments like Hard Hat if you're coming from a JavaScript background, Brownie like if you're coming from Python. A decentralized storage which is like interplanetary file system, IPFS, right? It's not like AWS S3 or Google, giving their own sort of storage layers, right? It's like peer-to-peer storage, right? You have indexing and querying, right? If you want to index the whole blockchain, right? And this is like the graph is one of the protocol, and that is your Google of blockchain. So someone is writing as Google for blockchain, the way they indexed Web 2.0, all of the websites, right? The graph is actually indexing the whole blockchain, and it's the Google for Web 3.0. And then you have various identity solutions, right? The way you do like OAuth in the current way of Web 2.0, right? You have like Wallet Connect and various other IDs that you can use. Like you were using Firebase, email authentication, that has to be replaced by more private and public keys kind of pairs, right? So that's an identity. And again, the client is primarily we are talking about this decentralized web application, right? So you pretty much have like web3.js or ether.js, right? These are the client libraries through which you can integrate, or you can call this blockchain or a backend using these libraries. So in next couple of series, I'm going to cover everything in the Web3. So this was like a quick background about Web3, what it's all about, what's the evolution look like and what's coming. It's a massive, massive field. And in this series, I'm going to cover all of the details. So with that, thanks for your time. Have a nice day.